Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests, I'm curious how many of you have ever run in a 5K race? Great, because today I'm going to tell you my 5K story. And this time right here was a goal that eluded me for 4 long years. Sub 20 as I called it. A time of under 20 minutes for a 5K race. And I didn't care if this XX read 20 seconds or 59 seconds. So long as the 19 was in the opening spot when I finished, I figured I could retire from racing and die a happy man. Back in high school I ran cross country and my fastest 5K time then was 20 minutes and 30 seconds. I retired from racing for 13 years, then purchased a used treadmill at age 31, and I thought this would be a great goal. I can try and break 20 minutes again. I should be able to do that in 3 or 4 months. Well, about 6 months later, I entered my first race, the Mason State Bank 5K run. And I didn't know about pacing. I went about halfway in the pack, figuring this is where I should stand. As it turned out, I was with a bunch of women in jogging strollers, and so I kind of shuffled for the first 100 meters or so until I could get free and loose. I had a slow time. I finished in 22 minutes and 20 seconds. Now, that's not bad, but way off my 20-minute pace. Undeterred, a month later, the next race, I lined up right on the starting line with the Olympic runners. And the gun went off, and they nearly ran over me to get me out of the way, but I got off to a great start. I surged ahead, had a great first mile of 6:25, which as you can see is a little bit ahead of pace. Now this is where the piano jumped on my back, and I carried it for the last 2 miles, almost redlining, but I finished in 20 minutes and 52 seconds. So I thought, 2 races, I'm within a minute of my goal. This is not hard after all. Well, it was. Over the next 3 years, I ran a total of 13 5Ks in 20 minutes and some odd seconds. So instead of being a 19XX runner, I was becoming a perpetual 20XX runner. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. I read everything I could get my hands on. I logged my miles, ran more miles. It wasn't until the 4th year when I started to grow as a runner, and I give the credit to that for joining the Mid-Michigan Track Club, of which I've seen VJ there before. I'm not sure if Amy was there. At this track club, we meet weekly and run intervals, and it's just a group of people who talk common interests, running, they motivate you, give you self-confidence, a lot like Toastmasters, where you practice and practice and people motivate you to improve. My 3rd race of the 4th season, I had the perfect race. Was around the Capitol a couple times. I ran the Capitol Loop, and as I was nearing the finish, I saw 19:35 on the clock. I started into sprint mode. I raced towards the finish, trying to will myself across the line. And then when I came across the line, I looked at my watch and saw 20 minutes and 2 seconds. I said, "You've got to be kidding me." I hung my head. I said, "Oh, never. I could have put it to bed today, this goal." And then some of my racing friends came over and said, "You just got a personal best by 15 seconds. Great job." And they motivated me back and said, "You're going to break 20. Don't worry about it." Over the next 2 weeks, I ran 104 miles. I camped at Lake Michigan and ran the dunes up and down. I was determined to break 20. And the next race, luck would have it, was one of the fastest courses, Max's race in East Lansing. It was June 26, 2008. I pinned my badge onto my shirt. This is the exact badge right here. As I got to the start line, I noticed Gerard Wilbrink. He's a 54-year-old runner who has run all 100 Playmakers Race Series races. So I knew who he was, and I knew he had been running times about 19 minutes and 50 seconds, like a machine that summer. So I went up to Gerard and I said, "Gerard, are you going to try and break 20 today?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Do you mind if I pace behind you?" He said, "Of course, you can pace." And then Gerard pointed to a 10-year-old boy with yellow shorts and said, "That kid's been running sub 22. So I said, "Okay, I've got 2 targets." The gun went off. I was I was running for broke today. I didn't care about, if I burned out, I burned out. I was trying for sub 20. End it today. I got out to a good start, surveyed the scene. I saw yellow shorts. He's about 6 seconds ahead. I said, I'm not running with him. After about 90 seconds, Gerard came around me, and I locked onto his pace. And I said, I'm not leaving this pace I'm just going with him to the end, no matter what happens. Well, about a half mile into the race, Gerard got surged ahead, and 6 runners got between us. And I thought, I'm not running with him. He's going too fast. So I had the voice in my head said, you have to. Today is the day. You put in the training. So over a couple 100 yards, I caught Gerard. And I began to think then, we're not going fast enough for sub 20. This is too slow. Should I pass him? Then I said, no, I can't. You got to trust him. He's running 1950. It's a good thing I waited because we came to the mile in 6 minutes and 18 seconds. My fastest thus far in a race, so I was 9 seconds ahead of pace. But the second mile is where I slowed down, and we did have a hill coming up in half a mile. Tried to keep positive thoughts. Right before we got to the hill, Gerard was slowing down, and this time I didn't ask a question, I just passed him. Gerard looked at me and said, you're on your own now. I said, thanks. And I latched on to the next runner up the hill. I'm not very good at uphills, so the piano latched on to me again, and I went up the hill. I got to the top, remember splashing water in my face. I am a good downhill runner. So coming down the hill, I was screaming down the hill as fast as I could, probably using too much energy, but my goal was to get to 2 miles in sub 13, less than 13 minutes. So I figured if I could get far below 13, I would motivate myself. I came through 2 miles in 12 minutes and 48 seconds. I was 6 seconds ahead of pace now. Lost a little time. 3rd mile, this is where the race starts. I had to tell myself it gets harder, but I told myself I can put it to bed today. I can take a week off if I go under 20 today. 14 minutes, 15 minutes, I dug harder. I remember a race volunteer looking behind me and saying, you're not supposed to be up here so far, you're just a little guy. And I realized I had passed yellow shorts without even realizing. I was concentrating so much. 17, 18, I think I knew I had sub 20 with a quarter mile left. And there was a girl ahead of me who beat me by 10 seconds. Somehow girls always beat me, no matter how fast I get. I came through the finish in 19 minutes, 35.8 seconds, and I had scorched sub 20. My last mile was 6 minutes and 12 seconds, even faster than the first. I won first place in my age group, and my sister-in-law was there with a camcorder to put the footage on YouTube for all time. So how had I done it? To reach my goal, I had practiced, never given up after 4 years, but also I had found a group of people who helped me through my goal. When I was down, they picked me up and helped me get it. That's my story. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.